If you've clicked on this video, most probably you want to build an attractive physique. Maybe you already started your journey in the gym, or maybe you're just getting started and you don't know how to start and where to start. This is where I come in. I've been training in the gym for 6 years consistently. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours and have gained a lot of knowledge during that time. So, this is a guide on how to build an attractive body. We'll move to my laptop and I'll be sharing with you my screen so that you can understand what I am talking about. So, how is muscle built? Well, when we break down muscles, when we go to the gym, for example, we create micro tears in the muscle. And these micro tears then recover. And when they recover, your muscle becomes just that much bigger. Not a big change, but with time, the change becomes more noticeable. Okay, so that is basically how muscle is built. Now, what are the things that you should focus on? You should focus on your training, your diet, and recovery. Train regularly and consistently. You can't train for 1 month and expect to see big changes. You have to do the same thing consistently for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 6 years, right? 10 years, 20 years to see changes, okay? Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say. Okay, and besides that, you should do your best to train every single muscle 2 times a week. And why is that? Well, because it takes about 48 hours for muscle to completely recover so that you can train it, right? We're going to talk about recovery later in the video, but just know there is no reason to train your muscle before it has recovered. That's backwards. We want to build muscle, not to destroy it. Which split should you choose so that you can train 2 times a week? My advice is you should be flexible. Not everyone has time to do 7 day splits. So I have a couple of splits here that are on the screen. The bro split, for example. Well, don't do the bro split. So, what is the bro split? The bro split is when you train one muscle group in 1 day. So, for example, on Monday, I can train chest, on Tuesday, back, Wednesday, arms, Thursday, legs. You can see why this split is not ideal. You have to train your muscles at least 2 times a week, and this split obviously doesn't give us that. So, the bro split is not a good split. We removed that one already. Push pull legs is a good split, and most people do push pull legs. On day one, you do your push exercises, things like the bench press, the shoulder press, and the pull day, you do things that involve pulling. You can do your pull ups, your barbell rows. Legs is self explanatory, right? You train legs. Push pull legs. You will have to go to the gym 6 times a week. And I do understand that not everyone has 6 days that they can commit themselves to go to the gym and train hard. There are some modifications that can be made to the push pull legs split, like you can do push pull legs, rest, push pull legs, rest, push pull legs, rest. Now you get more rest in between those blocks of push pull legs, right? Instead of going push pull legs, then rest. So that is one modification. And if that's something that you would want to try and you've got time to do that, you can do that. Another good split is also called the Arnold split, where you train your chest and back together, then you train your arms and shoulders together, and then you do your legs. It is also a good split, especially for those that have legging arms, right? You get to focus on your arms, upper body, lower body. This one is self explanatory. You can train your upper body 1 day and your lower body the other day. So the upper body split is ideal for people that do not have a lot of time to spend in the gym. Someone wants to spend about 4 days in the gym is enough with an upper lower split. So that means you can do Monday, you can train your upper body. On Tuesday, you can train your lower body. You rest maybe for even 2 days, and then you train again your upper body, and your lower body, right? And that's 1 week gone. You've trained every single muscle group at least 2 times a week. So this one is also a good split. If you can't find 4 days in a week to go to the gym, well, there are always other options. You can try a full body split. The full body split means you train the whole of your body in one session. If you can manage to do 2 sessions, you've at least trained every muscle group 2 times a week. Which of these splits should you pick? Well, that depends on you. That depends on your schedule and how fast you want to build muscle. I don't think anyone here wants to build their muscle slowly. So I don't think the bro split will be a choice for anyone. But any of these choices, they are good choices, especially if you're just starting your journey. Okay, so there are different types of lifts in the gym. There are isolation types of lifts, and there are compound lifts. You should focus more on compound lifts. So now, what is a compound lift? Compound lifts are lifts that involve two or more joints. For example, when you are doing a barbell press, right, you are involving your shoulder joint, your elbow joint. That is a compound lift. Why are compound lifts good? Well, because when you do compound lifts, you can easily track your progress, right? If you are doing 50 kgs on the bench press last month, and today you did 60 kgs on the bench press, that means you have improved, and that means you have gained muscle. Isolation lifts are those lifts that involve one joint. For example, bicep curls, right? When you do your bicep curls, only your elbow joint is moving, and that's why it's called an isolation lift. So at the start, you should most definitely focus on compound lifts. It's easier to track your progress because if you did 50 kgs last month and you do 60 kgs this month with relatively the same form, it means you are building muscle. And most compound lifts don't involve one muscle, right? When you're training your chest on the barbell press, right, which is a compound lift, you are also training your triceps, you're also training your shoulders. So that's why you should focus more on compound lifts. But that does not mean don't do isolation lifts. Isolation lifts are also good, especially to bring out those areas that are not your best. How much weight should you lift? In my opinion, at the very start, you should focus on technique. Focus on doing the exercise with the correct form. You don't want to start with doing the wrong form and further in the future have problems, right? Because using the wrong technique can lead to injury, and that's something you would not want, as that will just slow your progress. Please, please, please make sure that you know how to do the exercise, you do the correct technique. An easy way is just to go on YouTube. There are a lot of people, great guys there that show how to do a bench press, how to do a barbell curl, and try to do the exercises with weight that's not challenging for you, and then later increase the weight with time. This will result in more and more muscle tears, resulting in more muscle being built. Progressive overload is, although it involves increasing the weight with time, you will find out that, especially those that have been training for a couple of years, they will find that the weight that you lift does not increase as much, right, compared to the first year of training. So now progressive overload is no longer just about lifting heavier and heavier weight. It may involve things like lifting with better form, doing more reps with the same weight, with the same form. So progressive overload means a lot of things, but just know that progressive overload is a very important component of muscle building. You cannot just keep doing the same weight for years and years and expect to grow. Make sure that you're increasing the weight gradually, you're increasing the reps, you are perfecting your form, and you will most definitely build some muscle. So how many reps should you do? So in the fitness industry, it's believed that 8 to 15 reps for hypertrophy, 4 to 5 reps are for strength. And obviously a mixture of these is perfect, right? I try to do different rep ranges to increase my strength and to also cater for hypertrophy. A mixture is perfect. So how many sets should you do? I would say 3 sets for every exercise is more than enough. People that do 5, 10 sets on the same exercise, I really don't know what they're doing, but Three sets for every exercise is enough. Sometimes you can even do 2 sets, because for some people they have to train the same muscle in a couple of days, and if they keep doing 3, 4, 10 sets, well, their muscle is just not going to recover in time, right? You're going to need more than 48 hours to recover. That's also going to slow your progress. And also, 2 sets is also fine for people that don't have time, right? Especially the full body split guys. As I said, full body involves training your whole body. If you are going to do 3 sets of every exercise for every muscle group, you're going to find that you spend too much time in the gym. Although you go to the gym 2 days a week, for example, you might end up spending 3 to 3.5 hours in the gym, which is a lot of time, especially for working people. If you don't go to work and you don't have anything to do, well, you can try that. How long should you rest? A rule of thumb to follow is rest as much as you need so that you can go all out on the next set. You don't want to go into the next set and you're not rested enough, especially if you're doing compound lifts, because if you did a set of squats for 10 reps and the next minute you want to do the same number of squats, well, you're not going to do 10 sets. You're not going to do 10 reps now. Now you're going to do maybe 5 reps, which is going to slow your progress again. So rest. But a rule of thumb is 3 to 5 minutes for compound lifts and 2 to 3 minutes for isolation. Which muscles should you focus on? I would encourage you to focus on all of your muscles. You don't want to have lagging body parts because it disrupts your symmetry. You want to look beautiful, so you need to have symmetry. But muscles that are considered as aesthetic muscles, muscles that people notice, things like arms. Most people, especially people that don't go to the gym, if they see that you have big arms, then they will say that, oh wow, you're such a big guy, right? Because you've got big arms. So people look at arms, shoulders. If you're blessed with long clavicles, you should be thanking God right now and your parents for giving you these genetics, because your shoulders are just going to be naturally wide. You want that V taper, your body to look like a V, your waist to look small, and your shoulders to look big. It makes you seem bigger and it gives you that aesthetic look, right? If you have a larger waist, you're going to have a harder time trying to achieve that V taper. But if you focus on your shoulders, well, your disadvantage will not be as noticeable. Should you do cardio? Yes, and yes. You should do cardio. The heart, which is what we train when we do cardio, is the most important muscle in the body. So obviously you have to train it, right? You can't train all the other muscles and miss the most important muscle. You don't want to have a very attractive, a very big body and die. It's senseless, right? So you want to make sure that you live long so that you can see your beautiful body longer and you can train it and sculpt it for longer. You don't want to die because your heart muscle is weak. So make sure you do cardio. Those people that go to the gym, they sometimes believe that doing strength training is enough. No, it's not enough. You have to do strength training and do cardio. You don't want to be one of those guys, right? That look big, they look healthy, but when it's time to go up the stairs, they're heavily breathing after the first flight of stairs, okay? You don't want to be that guy. It's pathetic. There are many ways to do cardio. Cardio doesn't mean you have to do the treadmill. You can do the treadmill, you can run outside, you can take a walk outside, you can do hit cardio, you can swim, you can hike, whatever you like, but please do cardio, okay? Should I stretch? Again, yes, you should stretch, okay? You don't want to have a stiff body. You want to be able to move your body, right? You want to have control over your body. So, yes, you should stretch. This is something that I neglected a lot when I was starting, but recently I have started to involve stretching in my routine. Although I do stretch in the morning because I just find that easier to do. Since it's a habit I'm trying to build, I find stretching in the morning easier, right? I do the thing that I don't want to do, that I haven't been doing for all these years, in the morning, so that I don't have any stress during the day. I try to incorporate it after my strength training, but at the end I was too tired and sometimes I would just go home. So now I stretch in the morning as soon as I wake up, just to make sure that I don't forget. Obviously, stretching after you have done some exercises is better, but well, stretching in the morning is better than not stretching. If you follow everything I said up until now, you will build muscle. But this one is also very important. So when I started my journey, I was skinny, a very skinny guy. I used to weigh 68 kgs. I was almost always the skinniest guy, no matter who I'm walking with, who I'm talking to, who my friends are. I was always the skinniest. So I was 68 kgs when I started, which is in 2019, and I was 21 years old. 68 kg, 21-year old. So if you're skinny, you need to eat. Now, I know that you think you eat a lot, right? If you're skinny, you think you eat a lot. You think, oh, I eat a lot. Everyone tells me I eat a lot. Well, you don't, because if you ate a lot, you wouldn't be this skinny. If you ate a lot, you would have gained weight. So either you have a very, very, very fast metabolism, which is what I think I have, and you might have the same situation. You have a fast metabolism that you might eat a lot of food relative to other people, but you still don't gain weight because your body is burning those calories fast. So, what you need to do is eat more than your body is spending. So now you have to out eat your metabolism. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard. My problem was actually that I used to eat a lot. At least I thought I did. But sometimes I just didn't have appetite. I was used to eating 3 times a day, and that's it. Eating 4 times a day was just something I wasn't used to. I just didn't have the appetite to eat 4 times a day. But when I did eat, I ate a lot relative to the people around me. So now, if you are skinny, of course, now you have to eat 4, 5 times a day, 4 to 5 times a day, because you need calories to build muscle. If you're not fueling your muscles enough, they're not going to recover. So the training part becomes useless. That's why these training, diet, and recovery are the fundamentals. They are the fundamentals, and you should follow them. So, how do you increase the amount of calories that you are consuming so that you consume more than you spend? How do you do that? Well, one thing you can do is eat a lot of calorie dense foods, right? Like peanuts, oats, rice, potatoes. These are foods that have a lot of calories, and if you eat them, well, you're most likely to gain weight. You can't eat vegetables and expect to gain weight. As I said, increase the number of meals in a day, right? Instead of 3 meals, 4, 5, 6 meals, right? I know it's hard, but sometimes you have to force yourself to eat that food so that you can gain weight. Because if you do not do that, your weight will stay stagnant. The amount of weight you're lifting in the gym will stay stagnant, and you will not be able to build any muscle. So sometimes you do have to force yourself, but do it in a healthy way, right? Don't build an eating disorder because you want to build a beautiful body. But sometimes you have to force yourself a little. If you find that you can't eat your calories, drink them, right? Drink a milkshake, put some oats in there, put a banana, put some peanuts in there, and put some peanut butter in there, right? To increase the amount of calories. It's the same amount of liquid, right? But now there's peanuts, there's oats, bananas, a lot of calories, right? Which is what we need to build these muscles. A disclaimer: when I say eat a lot of calories, I do not mean do dirty bulks, because fast food will sooner or later eating fast food consistently, it will get out of control. You end up eating fast food 3 times a day, 7 days a week, and you'll end up being fat. You don't want to move from being skinny to being fat. Now you've got this struggle of you being skinny. You wanted to fix it. Well, now you've become fat. Now you have to go from being fat to being skinny or muscular. Don't do that, right? You're just slowing down your progress. Don't eat a lot of fast food. Although, if you can control the amount of fast food that you consume, 1 or 2 times a week is not bad, because again, fast food does have a lot of calories, and to build muscle you need a lot of calories, especially if you're underweight, right? There are people that are underweight. Well, those people, they have to drink mass gainers, and they have to eat a lot of fast food to gain weight so that they can have normal weight at least. So if you're one of those people, try mass gainers, try some fast food, but please do not build an eating disorder in the process, okay? We are trying to be healthy here. Build a beautiful body and be healthy. So, what do you do if you're fat? Right? What do you do? Well, for fat people, one of the things that you're going to hear a lot is a calorie deficit. If you're fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. What is a calorie deficit? A calorie deficit means consuming less than you spend, right? So you burn more calories than the calories that you eat. Okay, compared to the skinnier person has to eat more than they're spending. You have to spend more than you're eating. Does that make sense? You can also use other methods, of course, like eating salads, replacing those calorie dense food. As we said, for skinnier people, they need to eat more calorie dense food. Now you can try to eat less calorie dense foods, right? Like vegetables, tomatoes, right? And stuff like that. Do more salads to reduce the amount of calories that you consume. You should try to consume more protein. It fills you up more, right? And for longer. So try eating more protein than carbohydrates, for example. Don't use fat burning pills because they do not work. Consume lesser calories. Pick foods with less calories, and people don't understand, but it adds up. Fat people, what do they say? They say, I don't eat a lot, but I still gain weight. My brother, that means you eat a lot. Okay? If you didn't eat a lot, you would not gain that weight. You are not a plant. Okay? You're not a plant. You you don't grow because you were in the sun yesterday. So please, if you see your weight increasing, it means you're eating too much. Okay? So put down the fork, eat less calorie dense food, eat more protein because it satiates you more. One thing you can also do is drink water before you eat. Because imagine you drink 2 liters of water before you eat. Well, you're not going to want to finish that bowl of of rice anymore, right? Maybe you're going to eat half of that. So that's one way to reduce the amount of calories you eat. Every time you eat, maybe drink a glass of water or 2 glasses of water and go and eat. You will consume less. Spraying your oils instead of pouring your oils. A lot of people do this. You take your oil and you pour it into the pan and you throw your eggs in there. You might be eating healthy food, but because oil is very calorie dense. If you look at the bottle of oil, it might say for 100 milliliters of oil there are thousands of calories in there. So please, instead of pouring your oil, spray your oil. Buy one of those bottles so that you can spray your oil into the pan. Here where I am in Russia, they've got milk. They've got 3% milk, 5% milk, 9% milk, 15% milk, 20% milk. And the more, the higher the percentage, the higher the fat content in that milk, the higher the calories, because fat has got a lot of calories. So instead of picking the 20% milk, pick the 3% milk. It has lesser calories, although maybe not by much, but still it adds up. So make sure you pick the food that has lesser calories. Remove triggers. If you are a person that loves chocolate, you know you love chocolate, please don't lie to yourself. You know you love chocolate. Don't have chocolate in the drawer, in the kitchen lying around. Remove those foods, because If you get a chocolate craving at 12 o'clock midnight and you don't have chocolate in the house, guess what? You don't have chocolate in the house. You are not going to eat that chocolate. You're going to sleep and you're going to wake up, going to resume your day, and maybe, hopefully, not have that same craving that you were having at 12 o'clock. There is a disclaimer, though. There is a disclaimer that I wrote right here. There are some medical conditions that make it harder to gain weight and to lose weight, right? If someone has diabetes, hypothyroidism, some people that have depression, it's not as easy to lose or to gain weight with these conditions. Do not be discouraged if you were diagnosed with any of these conditions. Just know that your journey is different from other people's journey. So don't compare yourself to other people. You do you, right? At least if you're improving every day 1%, 0.01%, at least you're doing something to improve. So there are conditions that make it difficult to gain weight and to lose weight, right? Sometimes it's not just calories in and calories out. Sometimes people do have conditions that it just makes it harder to lose that weight or to gain that weight. So do not be discouraged. With time, you'll get the hang of it. You have a different journey. Do not compare yourself to other people. And please go and see your doctor for medical advice. So, general advice for everybody: please drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of water. Your muscle consists of 80% water, so you need that water to make your muscles look fuller. Now, let's talk about recovery, which is one of, if not the most important components of all this, because if you train a lot and you eat but you do not recover, well, guess what? You are not going to build any muscle. Your muscle has to recover, and you have to sleep. Don't sleep at 3 o'clock and wake up at 6 o'clock, which is one of the biggest problems that I had, especially when I started, and I still have this problem. It's difficult for me to go to sleep. If I have certain things that I have to do, I will do those things before I go to sleep, which is not ideal for muscle building. So please sleep at least 7 to 8 hours to give your muscles time to grow. Okay? Do not train every day. Even if you're training different muscle groups, training every day is just backwards, because in a couple of months, you are just going to burn your fuse, you're going to burn your central nervous system, and you're going to need to rest, right? And especially if you're starting, those are things that you do not want. You do not want to feel discouraged when you're starting because you do not have that habit yet, okay? So don't train every day. And it goes without saying, don't train the same muscle group every day. If you're going to train every day for some particular reason, please train different muscle groups. At least be flexible. You will find out that the further you move with your fitness journey, the more you need to be flexible, right? Because some people usually start their fitness journeys when they're young. They've got a lot of time on their hands. As you get older, you get more responsibilities. Now you've got to go to work. You can't just not go to work, right? You've got to do this, you've got to do that. These documents need to be signed. You have to go there to do that. You have a lot of responsibilities, and you need flexibility. You need flexibility. So if you feel like you trained today, right, and in 2 days time you feel that your muscles are sore, like they're really really sore, right, what they call DOMs, don't train the muscle. Just skip it. Okay, just skip it and do it another day when your muscle is not hurting. You can try to do a less intense workout just to bring blood to those areas of your body to improve recovery, right? There are things like that. People do those things like active recovery, right? They do things, some exercises to make sure that their blood is flowing all over their body so that they can recover better. But don't do an intense and don't do an intense workout when you know that your muscles are hurting. It just slows your progress. Be flexible. Don't be rigid. So sometimes after 6 months of training, you can do a deload week where you reduce the weight. I don't know what I was writing here. Reduce the weight and just cruise, right? You reduce the weight, do the same exercises, but just reduce the weight. You could stop going to the gym altogether, right? Like for 2 weeks, just to recover your central nervous system. Okay, that's also a good idea, and I would recommend doing deload weeks once in a while. Okay, I did not write this, but I would also recommend taking supplements. And supplements that I recommend are whey protein. If you want to gain weight, right? As we were saying earlier, if you're skinny, you need more calories. You might need mass gainer. Creatine is a good one. So take creatine. It's good to fill up your muscles, gives you energy. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements out there. So you won't have any bad side effects. Take creatine. Anything other than this is optional, in my opinion. Is optional. If you want to take some pre-workout, you can take some pre-workout. If you want to take some vitamin D, but these are two of the most important supplements. Everything else is optional. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them, or maybe I'll make a video about those questions. And yeah, peace.